Okay, I'm trying something new today. A long time ago, I had bought a Veritas Mark II honing guide, but had not actually figured out how to use it very well. The manuals that come with this, with a lot of tools, aren't usually written very well or very clearly. So today I looked it up on a couple of YouTube videos and found one where the guy doing the video was really clear and made it really simple to understand how to set this thing up and how to use it. And so I'm going to use it today. I like it. I don't know why it took me so long to finally figure out how to use it. So I'm going to be using it to resharpen my number 62 low angle jack plane blade, instead of using this, which is your standard honing guide. But what I find is I don't really like it as well because, number one, it's kind of hard to fit the blade securely in the slots. They don't fit really snugly, and sometimes they might move. And the little roller on the bottom is pretty narrow. It's only maybe, half an inch. And so you could easily have a tendency as you're using it to wobble a bit, as I'm showing here. And so that's what I used first to try to sharpen my plain blade. But then I just pulled out this Veritas one, and so I'm going to be using it now that I think I understand how to use it after watching that YouTube video. So what I like about it is it's heavy, it's hefty, and it's very solid. And as I use it, I'll show you the things. This is a little gauge that you use to set the blade into the jig. It has 3 colors that correspond to 3 colors, red, yellow, and green. For a low angle or something, and the yellow is standard, and the green is high blade or something like that, high angle. So I'm just setting it on the yellow standard. And so on that gauge that's in my left hand, you first set it, kind of has a dovetail that you slide into the honing jig. And it has a little index line that you set to whatever width your blade is. And so my blade here is, I think it was 2 inches. And so I slide it over until that little gauge marker is on the 2 inch. And then you tighten that little screw, that little knob. And this gauge is just to help you when you're first setting the blade into the jig. So you tighten it up, and I have on the gauge, I have it set to the yellow 25-degree setting. And they make it really easy because there are just little notches that the knob where you set it sets into. Okay, and then you loosen. I keep forgetting which way to turn the knobs. I'm loosening the part where you're going to slide the blade in. Oh, right there I was showing you, you got to make sure also that on the side there's a knob for adjusting a micro bevel after you've done the standard bevel. And when you begin, you want to make sure that the little index is pointing up, 12 o'clock position. So you're not doing a micro bevel yet. So once you've loosened the jig, and I think I'm going to have problems here because it took me a while to figure out which way to loosen it to open it up. And I think I had it set for a narrower or a thinner blade earlier. And so I really have to loosen it up quite a bit. And you want to slide the blade bevel up over that little gauge. So I'm having a bit of a problem here because I'm turning the knobs the wrong way, I think. Sorry about this little delay here. So that gauge basically is kind of like a little table that you're, there you go. So bevel up, and I slide it onto that gauge against the left-hand side, which is kind of like a table or something, a fence, up to the stop, which is what you had set earlier for the width of the blade. And then once you have it snug against the fence on the left-hand side and against the stop at the end, you tighten up the jig to hold the blade. So that's what I'm doing there. There's Hannah. She always comes in periodically to make sure I'm doing things right. Okay, so I've tightened it. Everything's set correctly. Set to the yellow 25 degree. Set to the 2 inches blade. And now once everything is tight, I just loosen that knob for the gauge and remove the gauge. In the future when I use this, I'll know what I'm doing, so it won't take as long. So everything's tight. The blade is set correctly. And I want to double check to make sure it is set perpendicularly in the jig, and it is. Okay, now I'm going to kind of wipe off the diamond stones. Put a little of this fluid on there. I bought this, it said that it's good for using on diamond stones and it will help prevent rust. And it feels kind of like it has oil in it. It's kind of a water. I'm not sure what I was showing you there. But I like the jig because it's nice and heavy. and it kind of, your hands could fit around it nice and snugly. So I put my thumbs kind of on top of the back of the blade on the inside of the back of the jig. Put my fingers on the front of the blade and just go back and forth. Oh, I think what I was showing you, what I like about this jig too, is the roller is long. It's like about 2 inches or 1.5 to 2 inches long instead of that little narrow 1/2 inch roller. So there's no wobble as you're moving it back and forth. So right now I'm doing the 25-degree bevel, primary bevel. So I think I might speed through this section here. So after I show you kind of the basic process here, I'm going to speed it up because I'm just going to be going through. This is the coarse grit 325, the second one is 600, the third one is 1200, and the fourth one is 8000. So I think I'll speed this section up. Okay, now that the primary bevel is done, I'm not sure what I'm just looking at the bevel right there, I think. I'm going to do just a brief honing on the leather strop with some compound on the strop. Now here is where I am turning that knob so I can do the micro bevel. So I turn it so the index line is at the 6 o'clock position, and that will give me a micro bevel. I'm not sure how it works to do that, but it just changes the angle. So more of the same. I don't take the blade out of the jig, I just turn that micro bevel knob and do more of the same. So I'll speed it up here as well. Okay, now I can take the blade out of the jig because I'm going to smooth out the back of the blade, just using the extra fine. I already had smoothed it out previously, yesterday, so there's really not much I had to do there. But I'm going to use that ruler trick, which is set it on a ruler and at about up to about a 1/4 inch from the opposite edge, you just run the back side of the blade back and forth, and it creates kind of a micro bevel on the back side. And then I'm going to hone it. Now it's time to kind of clean off the surfaces of the diamond stones. Okay, here I've put the blade back in the plane, and I'm slowly kind of figuring out how to do that a little bit better too. For example, how big of a throat to adjust, how to straighten the blade in the throat, how close. I'm finally figuring it out to loosen up that top knob a little bit to advance or pull back the blade with the other knob underneath, and then tighten it up and see how it is. A little bit fiddly, but and how to make the throat smaller than it was. So I'm going to try it out here. Alrighty. Okay, let's try it. The audio in this section was kind of crummy too, so I'm going to do a voiceover. So what I figured out is just to start by having the plane set so nothing is cutting, and then just little by little advance the blade until it starts to cut, and just a little bit at a time until it's cutting the way you want it to. And the way I do that is I loosen that top knob, like that one, a little bit, in order to be able to move that bottom knob, which advances or pulls back the blade. And then once you have it where you want it, you tighten that top knob again. And so it's just a matter of advancing the blade a tiny bit at a time until it feels and shaves the way you want it to. And I'm looking at the opening between the end of the blade and the front edge of the mouth or throat or whatever you call that. I think I ended up with an opening of about maybe a 32nd to a 1/16 of an inch opening. Probably not even a 1/16 of an inch opening. And also you want to make sure that the blade is straight across and not off kilter either to one side or the other. It's a good feeling when the plane goes smoothly across the wood. I wish the sound was better in this section here so you can hear the plane blade. The plane shaving the wood. ASMR, right? I think I probably had my little mic receiver maybe not plugged fully into the iPhone. You know, the USB-C. Maybe it was not fully seated into the port or something, because I kept getting static and cutouts in the sound, which would be annoying after a while. But then you can't hear the shavings here. Maybe I'll find a good section without me talking so you can hear the shavings. I'm not sure what I was talking about there. I think I decided here to turn the plate around to see if the grain feels different going in one direction from the other direction. Oh, another thing I'm doing here is I'm remembering what I saw in a YouTube video of he suggests planting your right and left legs in a certain way and kind of moving forward with your body pivoting or moving on the left leg if you're right-handed, and moving the plane with your body rather than with just your arms. And that makes a lot of sense. I had forgotten that tip, and so here I'm trying it. I think I'm discovering here that it's catching the grain when I put it in this direction, and so I put it back. So there is a direction of the grain that you should use when jointing the plates, and then you should mark it with an arrow once you discover it. Yeah, so it goes much more smoothly when I go from this end. On the other, when I was doing it the other way, the beginning section was rough, so it was catching grain, where here it's not. Okay, here's more of the same. It's going pretty smoothly. I'm not getting the full width of the edge yet, so I imagine I might have to advance the blade a little bit more so it'll dig deeper. I'm not sure, but it's pretty good shavings. kind of fun when it goes smoothly. And here I'm going to check for square. If this were a real violin plate, I'd want it to be square to one side of the plate, the flat side, which would be the inside of the plate. And I discovered there that the left-hand side of the edge is higher. So that means when I'm playing, I would kind of tilt the blade, the plane, a little more to the left to square it up. And that is better. And what I was going to do here was get my long ruler to check the length, but I didn't want to tip over the tripod, which was in the way of the ruler, so I'm just using my little square to check. Yesterday, or maybe this morning, I can't remember, or earlier today, I used the Veritas honing jig to sharpen the blade in this block plane. Some people do use a block plane instead, but for me, having a longer plane works just so much better to keep everything consistent, to keep the whole edge straight. Here's the end result of my practicing tonight. Lots of shavings. Kind of fun. Alrighty, I'm getting a little bit better, a little bit at a time.